Villain, starting with the 9 dragons seizing the throne. I choose to lie flat. Author. Covered in liver. Transferred to a world that combines multiple novels, becoming the antagonist 9th prince of the great Xian dynasty, and starting off by seizing the throne. Fortunately, the lying flat system was activated. As long as I lie flat steadily every day, I can continuously receive rewards. Xian thought he could lie down and become invincible, but why did the female leads actively come to him one after another and refuse to leave? The saintess of the First Holy Land wanted to be his maid. The princess of the neighboring Immortal Dynasty specifically named him for marriage. The fairy from the upper realm also descended to the mortal world and insisted on having a candlelit conversation with him to exchange life experiences. Many years later, Xian looked at the chaotic and messed up plot, his face full of speechlessness. I really just wanted to lie flat. Chapter 1. Kill the protagonist at the beginning. Northern Spirit Realm. Great Xian Dynasty. 30 years to the east of Hedong, 30 years to the west of Hexi, don't bully. Kai. A sword as white as snow flashed past. A young boy's head, eyes wide open in anger, rolled down, splattering blood on the ground. What kind of wild boy dared to rush into His Highness? Senran's angry voice sounded, but in a blink of an eye he turned cautious. Your Highness, please forgive me. I didn't investigate for a moment and allowed this wild boy to sneak in. He deserves death. A bloody scene before my eyes. Xian's somewhat confused mind suddenly cleared up, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. This is really, the plot is corny and bloody. A boy and a girl were childhood sweethearts. When a rogue prince robbed him, the boy became furious, dropped his cold words, and made a 3-year pact to win back his lover. This was probably what the young man was thinking. In fact, it is. The girl did not resist the handsome prince at all, but felt happy because of his favor. As for childhood sweethearts, that would be even more wishful thinking and unrequited love. The two of them are not even from the same family, they are just the scions of 2 friendly families in a small town. This time I came to the imperial capital to join the world-famous Supreme Profound Academy. After figuring out the current situation, Xian was a bit dumbfounded. Am I becoming a villain? Just now, Xian suddenly had many more memories in his mind, so he was stunned for a long time. It's not really transmigrate, it might be more appropriate to say it's reincarnation. In his previous life, he was a social beast on Earth. After staying up late one night and dying suddenly, he came to this world and became the 9th prince of the great Xian dynasty. He grew up in fine clothes and fine food. Only now have I inexplicably awakened to the wisdom of my previous life. What Xian didn't expect was that this turned out to be a world where many novels merged. If I remember correctly, the Great Xian Dynasty and the Supreme Profound Academy were basically forces in 2 different books, but now they appeared at the same time. And some memories of sacred land, family. Also from different novels. In the original plot, the 9th prince of Daqian was the protagonist, who was a friend of the 5th prince. Taking advantage of the large crowds during the Lantern Festival, he beheaded him with one sword. He was also the first unlucky person to be eliminated in the competition for the heir in Kowloon. Of course, being killed is not a simple matter of stance. This is just one of the reasons. Another more important reason for this is, the 9th prince is obsessed with the granddaughter of the great general of the country, almost like a dog licker, and the protagonist happens to have thoughts about her. Take back your thoughts that are gradually wandering. Glancing at the young man whose corpse was separated, Xian's eyes were calm, without any fluctuation. How dare the heir of a family in a small city threaten the prince of the great Xian dynasty in the street? This is not spineless. This is stupid. Just die. Because of his behavior, the entire family has to pay for it. Death is not a pity for such an idiot. Of course, confiscating the family and annihilating the clan will not lead to it. Xian is not a person who kills without blinking an eye. But as long as this matter spreads, without any instructions from him, the entire family will be targeted from all aspects,
The little red
making it difficult for them to move
man
forward.
takes the red car
Those who
home.
were
Yellow
implicated in
people
this
drive
were
yellow
probably
cars
the ones
home.
most
The
eager to
rules
let him
are
by.
simple, but on
See
to
if
the
he
next
has any
level.
storage
What is
area.
going on here? So
Xian
many
suddenly
buses.
spoke.
Pick up the
Yes.
villain.
The guard who just took action felt strange. Even if a son of an aristocratic family from a remote town has a storage ring, what good things can he have? Of course he didn't dare to say this. He quickly agreed and searched the young man's body. Back to your highness, no. Kindness. Xian remained calm, but he complained in his heart, if you don't have the protagonist's life, if you get the protagonist's disease, you will die unjustly. Single quote. Fortunately, he thought he was the protagonist of some novel. It turned out to be just a passerby. Fortunately not. Otherwise, if a portable old man appears, I am afraid that the person lying on the ground today will be Xian. This ghost world is too dangerous. Xian was secretly alert. The protagonist travels all over the world, and the genius is worse than a dog. Maybe one day it will become a stepping stone for a certain protagonist. Although the great Daqian Dynasty is strong, it is not invincible. There are no less than 10 powerful forces in the northern spirit realm alone that are no less powerful than it. The Supreme Profound Academy located in the imperial capital is one of them. The most likely positions for the prince are the eldest prince, the third prince and the fifth prince. In the original plot, I was killed by the protagonist, precisely because of that woman, and because she supported the third prince and stood on the opposite side of the fifth prince. So in theory, it is the best choice not to interfere with Julong to seize the throne. Ignoring the girl next to her who was pale because of the bloody scene in front of her, Xian turned around and walked in the direction of the mansion, thinking in her mind. Fighting for the throne. Fight for something. First, there is no amazing talent, and second, there is no strong backing. What to fight for? It is said that Kowloon is the one who seizes the legitimate sons, but in fact, except for those three, the others really have no chance at all. It's decided, lie down. Xian made a choice quickly. Although according to the original plot, the fifth prince who finally competes for the crown prince's position is supported by the protagonist. But there is more than one protagonist in this world. Accidents can happen at any time. As long as I lie flat enough, no one will bother to talk to me. With this thought, Xian immediately felt relieved and lost a lot of urgency. Oh, what are the benefits of being an emperor? Why not be an idle prince, eating, drinking, having fun every day, and having a beautiful concubine? Isn't that a wonderful thing? This is a happy life that he never dared to imagine in his previous life. At this moment, ding! It is detected that the host has a strong desire to lie down, and the system to become stronger when lying down is successfully activated. Xian's expression froze. The surprise that surged in his heart had not even reached his face before he forcefully suppressed it. It's actually a system. Judging from this statement, I am afraid that the system has already existed, but it has specific activation conditions, and the conditions are: lie flat. At this moment, Xian felt like she couldn't laugh or cry. As the prince of the great Daqian Dynasty, with the added power and aloofness, he is inevitably ambitious. How come you have the idea of lying down? If Xian hadn't known how outrageous this world was, I'm afraid that even if I awakened the wisdom of my previous life, I would never think of lying down, but rather try my best. Fortunately, I read a lot of books. Feeling a little lucky, Xian said to himself, "System, could you please introduce your functions?" Chapter 2: Lying flat is an attitude towards life. This system has only one function. As long as the host lies down stably, it will continue to become stronger. Otherwise, there will be no reward. After listening to the system's concise self-introduction, the corner of Xian's mouth twitched. This amazing feature. He really won his heart. As long as you lie down and you can become stronger, will anyone really choose to work hard? But Xian's expression moved slightly and he asked in his heart, "If someone bullies me, or threatens my life, and I take action to strangle them. Does that count as a violation of the requirement to lie down? There was silence for a moment. The system responded simply, lying down is not waiting to die. The smile on Su Xian's face widened slightly. That's right. He has always believed that lying down is not a complete sense of resignation, but a natural attitude towards life. You can't. If someone rushes over and stabs you, you can only lie down if you stand still, right? Are you crazy? At this time, a figure landed next to the guard next to him and whispered a few words in a low voice. The guard with the sword stepped forward and whispered, "Your Highness, the boy just now is the son of the head of the Lin family in Wuyun City. It is said that our ancestors had a king 6,000 years ago, but the inheritance was later discontinued. How about?" His eyes were full of murderous intent, and he made a gesture of cutting grass. "No need." Su Xian waved his hand casually. "If you really want to take revenge, it's not too late to kill him. If there was a king in the other party's family now, it might be worth being afraid of, but 6,000 years ago." Su Xian really didn't bother to target him. There are 10 realms of spiritual practice in the human world. Body tempering, chi refining, essence building, aperture opening, core sea, divine bridge, Tao palace, heaven smiting, self-liberation, good fortune. And the heaven-smiting realm is revered as the king. About hundreds of thousands of years ago, there was a powerful great emperor country that swept the world and divided its kings. The weakest king among them was also in the heaven-smiting realm, so it was called this. Because of its great influence, it is still used today. And now the emperor of the great Daqian Dynasty, who is Su Xian's father in this life, is a powerful man in the Tao Palace 9th layer, one step away from heaven smiting. Certainly, this level of cultivation alone is not enough to control hundreds of millions of miles of territory. But such a great dynasty has existed for tens of thousands of years. How can ordinary people know about the powerful men hiding in the dark side? By the way, the founding ancestor of Daqian was the master of the good fortune realm, and he once dominated the world. Ding! Your mentality meets the requirements for lying flat, and you have obtained the heaven-level martial skill, Wind Thunder Divine Fist. The lying flat reward can only be obtained once per day. Please note, once the host engages in struggling behavior, it will not be able to obtain any rewards within a one-day period. Su Xian was startled. He really didn't think about this aspect deliberately just now, he just said it casually, and he actually got the reward. This is so cool. Tribulation Heaven level martial arts. It's not too rare for Su Xian. As the 9th prince of Daqian, he naturally has no shortage of martial arts and martial arts. He even has self-liberation level combat skills, but who would have too many? Thoughts arose. A panel appeared in front of me. Su Xian. Cultivation. Aperture opening 8th layer. Physique. None. Divine ability. None. Exercise. Qian Sovereign Sutra Part 2. Combat skills. Imperial Tao Killing Fist. Wind Thunder Divine Fist. Heaven Shattering Dragon Elephant. Great Desolate Ocean Splitting Seal. Bao Wen. Divine Jade Garments. Heavenly Dragon Halberd. Su Xian glanced at him, his eyes flashing slightly. To be fair, his qualifications are not that outstanding, but that is only relative. At the age of only 19, he already had the cultivation level of aperture opening 8th layer. There is still a long way to go before those evil geniuses who have special physiques or are gifted with divine ability. But it's enough to be called genius anywhere. To have such strength, in addition to the resources available at will, one's own talent is of course indispensable. Needless to say, Su Xian practices the good fortune level skill, Qian Sovereign Sutra, created by Emperor Xian, the ancestor of the Daqian Dynasty. Imperial Tao Killing Fist is known as the second most powerful attack in the world. Coupled with the divine jade garments that can withstand the full blow of Tao Palace monks. Even if Su Xian stands still, he can make Corsi and divine bridge monks stare. If I remember correctly, Su Xian originally had a treasure to protect the primordial spirit, but he had, generously, given it to the general's granddaughter. The reason why he was successfully assassinated by the protagonist later it was because the opponent used an extremely exquisite primordial spirit attack and killing technique, which directly destroyed the soul. What a fool! With his thoughts at this point, Xian couldn't help but cursed his past self. After recovering the memory of the previous life, he knew very well that what he had done before was exactly the same as the plot of that book. Even his personal protective equipment is willing to be given away. Licking a dog is not enough to describe it. It can be called a wolf warrior.
ಹೌದು.
If divine jade garments hadn't been for men's clothing, I'm afraid it wouldn't have been spared. In Xian's impression, the general's daughter was so beautiful, she couldn't be said to be the most beautiful woman in the world, but she had a kind of heroic beauty. Perhaps it's precisely because of what you want that you can't get it, which puts a special filter on it. Ellipsis. Not long after, Xian stopped, and from a distance he saw a beautiful figure with a high ponytail, her lavender dress swaying slightly in the wind, standing outside her Prince Xian's mansion. Your Highness, Miss Ran Qingshe has been waiting for you here for a quarter of an hour. A guard from the mansion quietly appeared behind him and said respectfully. Ran Qingshe is the granddaughter of the general who ruled the country. His eyebrows were raised slightly. Xian's thoughts moved and he immediately recalled the plot. Basically, Ran Qingshe was unwilling to accept his gift, soul-calming jade, so he planned to send it back. It's just right. It saves me having to go to my father again to ask for a treasured soldier to protect the primordial spirit. He walked slowly to the front of the mansion. Xian looked at the beautiful girl in front of him with a slightly troubled expression, waiting for her to speak. The guard next to him looked strange. Why is something wrong with His Highness? Even if he had seen this Miss Ran before, he would have already approached her with a smile. Why are you so expressionless and cold today? Is it possible that His Highness is planning to take a different approach to the strategy and play hard to get? While he was thinking wildly, the guard suddenly widened his eyes. I saw that Miss Ran, who is always polite to His Highness, gritted her teeth slightly at this moment, took out an ice blue jade box, and whispered slightly coyly. Your Highness Ninth Prince, I like the gift you gave me very much, but I can't accept it for nothing, so, well, I give this ice soul crystal fruit to you. Xian said with a nonchalant expression. Oh, since you don't want it, just give it back to me, anyway. Before he finished speaking, he was suddenly stunned. Ha! Chapter 3 The heroine actually has her own system. The surroundings became quiet for a while, and you could hear a needle drop. Xian blinked. Isn't she here to send, soul-calming jade, back? But give a gift in return. This TM. The plot is wrong. The original plot was like this. Ran Qingshe sent, soul-calming jade, back, but the Ninth Prince refused to take it at all. In the end, Ran Qingshe had no choice but to give up. But he warned the Ninth Prince coldly not to give her anything in the future. Otherwise, she would ask her grandfather, the general who ruled the country, to complain to the emperor. Certainly, Xian does not intend to follow the original trajectory. What he was thinking was, since you sent soul-calming jade back, I will take it back. Let nature take its course, which is the essence of lying down. That's why Xian said what he just said out of habit. But who knew things would not develop as planned? This is very embarrassing. Looking at the girl's delicate face, he was stunned for a moment. Immediately afterwards, it turned red at a speed visible to the naked eye. Those big, watery eyes. In a short period of time, various complex emotions such as surprise, confusion emerged, and finally they were filled with deep shame. Ran Qingshe was extremely heartbroken at this moment. To know, she finally worked up the courage to take the initiative to give gifts to Xian. Ran Qingshe had previewed Xian's reaction in advance. They have also thought about how to deal with it. For example, Xian will most likely be extremely pleasantly surprised, thinking that he has responded to his pursuit. And this time, Ran Qingshe would calmly say that she just didn't want to take other people's things for free, and giving gifts in return was a sign of drawing a clear line. But she never thought that Su Xian would say such a thing. He actually wanted him to return the gift. What about his majestic princely face? This moment, Ran Qingshe almost thought that she heard wrongly and froze on the spot. When she came back to her senses, she felt her face was as hot as if it was on fire, and she wished she could find a crack in the ground and crawl into it. Fortunately there weren't many people around. There were only 2 guards beside him. One of them was looking up at the sky and the other was staring down at the ground, concentrating on it. And their identities are also destined not to talk nonsense. Take a gentle breath. Ran Qingshe quickly took out soul calming jade from his arms with a stiff expression and handed it to Su Xian. Give it back to you. Ah, thank you. Su Xian didn't know what to say, so he subconsciously stretched out his hand to catch Baoyu, which was still covered with the warmth of the girl's body. You're welcome, it's yours to begin with, it just returns to its original owner. Ran Qingshe was a little angry, too, although I am very puzzled by the changes in the plot. But Su Xian is not prepared to have too much involvement with the heroine of this novel, because she is really too stupid. According to the settings of the original plot, the protagonist Qin Mo comes from a place called Crippled Heaven Valley, and meets Ran Qingshe at Supreme Profound Academy. And this is actually Qin Mo's careful plan. Crippled Heaven Valley, also known as the Valley of the Wicked, contains 10 unparalleled villains. In the past, they were all murderous and ruthless, full of bad deeds. It can be said that there is no good thing. 2 years ago, the great Daqian Dynasty's general Zhengguo personally led his troops to annihilate him. That's right. He is Ran Qingshui's grandfather. For the protagonist Qin Mo, this is the unquestionable hatred of exterminating his family. He approaches Ran Qingshe just to find a way to avenge him. Becoming a friend of the 5th prince is also part of the plan. In fact, he succeeded in the end, killing the general Zhengguo with his own hands and replacing him. The most bloody place is here. Ran Qingshe was deeply saddened even though she knew this. But instead of killing the protagonist Qin Mo, she chose to walk away. In the end, he was found by the protagonist, who said that after many years, the hatred had been settled, and a happy ending was forced. Su Xian's reaction at that time was, "You leave it here for me to play with." Certainly. After all, a novel is a novel, and it is impossible to completely describe a person's character. Ran Qingshe in the real world may not be so stupid. But who cares? Wait a moment. Seeing Su Xian turn around and leave very simply, Ran Qingshe felt a little uncomfortable for no reason, and couldn't help but said, "Your Highness, 9th Prince, do you really not want to see me?" Hear the words. Su Xian paused in his steps. He slowly turned around with a strange look on his face. "Miss Ran, isn't this what you want most?" Ran Qingshe was suddenly speechless. Yes. What she usually hates the most is that Su Xian is always hanging around her, and she wants to keep him as far away from her as possible. Now the goal is achieved. But why do I always feel like there is an empty space in my heart? Su Xian shook his head inexplicably, turned around and walked towards the house. "Your Majesty 9th Prince." After a brief silence, Ran Qingshe called out to him again. She gently bit her red lips with her fine teeth, a trace of shame seemed to flash through her beautiful eyes, and handed over the ice blue jade box in her hand. "Your Highness 9th Prince, this is a gift from me. I hope you can accept it." There was a pause. Su Xian looked back at her. Her little face turned green and red, her head almost touching her chest, before she nodded slightly. "Okay, I'll accept it." It's impossible not to accept it. According to the logic of the system, if you don't accept free gifts from others, why don't you have to fight? Call. Ran Qingshe breathed a sigh of relief obviously. After placing the ice blue jade box in Su Xian's hand, he said thank you inexplicably and quickly disappeared from sight. Tisk, that's really weird. Ran Qingshui's behavior today was like taking the wrong medicine, but Su Xian was too lazy to dig into it. To him, Nothing is more important right now than lying flat. Ellipsis. Walking down the street. Ran Qingshe always felt that everyone around her was looking at her. This is of course an illusion. But what happened just now really made her feel ashamed and annoyed, and she felt like she was dead in society. Until it was a little far away from Prince Xian's mansion. Ran Qingshe took a few deep breaths and managed to calm down. Thoughts moved slightly. A few lines of words came to her mind. Task introduction. Take the initiative to give a gift to the 9th Prince Xian of Daqian, and he must accept it. Success reward. All 9 orifices open. Punishment for failure. Cultivation is locked, immortality cannot be advanced. Time limit. None. Looking at these lines of words, Ran Qingshui's expression changed slightly involuntarily. Just today, this thing appeared inexplicably in her mind, and there was also a cold notification sound. At first, Ran Qingshe thought some powerful person was playing tricks on her. But when she pretends to be uncomfortable. When I asked my grandfather who was in the heaven-smiting realm to help me check if there was any abnormality in my body, the answer I got was that there was no problem at all. But at that time, these lines clearly appeared in her mind. Not even aware of the heaven-smiting state. Could it be that the venerable or sovereign of the self-liberation realm are still playing tricks on her? How could that old monster be so careless? Weird events beyond comprehension. Ran Qingshe shivered with chills all over under the scorching sun. She is determined to become a general who governs the country like her grandfather in this life, so how can she endure the punishment of having her cultivation level locked up? Ran Qingshe doesn't dare to bet. Not to mention, it's just asking her to give him a gift, and it's not something unacceptable. Apart from being a little embarrassed, there's no other difficulty. However, things developed beyond her expectation. Xian seems to be a different person today. When facing her, he was so calm that he was almost indifferent, and unexpectedly became less annoying. Pooh! Ran Qingshe shook her head violently, her silver teeth clenching. It's obvious that I hate it even more. How can I take back a gift given to others? It really makes me mad. She was not disgusted with Xian. It's just that Ran Qingshe has always aimed at grandpa and practiced hard. The future partner in her mind should naturally be an indomitable and unparalleled talent. Not like Xian. Spend the whole day lounging around and having fun. System. After slandering Xian for a few words, Ran Qingshe began to call out the voice calling himself, the system, in his heart. As required, the mission is considered completed. Chapter 4. 9 orifices open together, the ancestral orifice between the eyebrows. Generally speaking, martial artist in the aperture opening realm world, as long as he has a clue, he can continue to make breakthroughs. The more acupoints opened, the deeper the foundation. In addition to being beneficial to your daily practice, you can also react more quickly during battles. Those who can open the 9 orifices are all the most gifted among the most gifted. As far as Ran Qingshe knows. In the hidden dragon ranking that divides the world's young heroes, only the top 5 perverts have opened the 9 apertures. But when she opened her 7 orifices, that was already her limit. But the problem is, I broke through the aperture opening and entered the core sea realm more than a year ago. Is it possible that this system can help me reverse the 9 orifices? Ran Qingshe was puzzled. With thoughts of both anticipation and apprehension, she silently muttered in her mind, "Withdraw the reward. Rewards are being distributed, please wait." As the cold reminder sounded in my mind, Ran Qingshui's whole body trembled slightly, and she felt a stream of air spread all over her body in an instant, like a winding river with rolling waves, flowing through her limbs and bones. The originally unopened nose orifice and one eye orifice became transparent instantly. Bo! There seemed to be a sound of shackles breaking. Ran Qingshe suddenly discovered that he had broken through a small realm due to the opening of all 9 orifices. It's already the core C 6th layer day. Ran Qingshe was dull. She had been stuck for half a year, and finally had to give up on 2 acupoints, and they were opened so easily. After a brief moment of confusion, Ran Qingshe couldn't help feeling surprised. To have such terrifying abilities, no matter what is hidden behind this system. She admitted it all. Not to mention, Ran Qingshe didn't think that he was of much value, and that he was worthy of having such a powerful mysterious existence, and what kind of conspiracy would he use against him? If the other party really wants to harm her, why bother? Ding! New tasks are released, please check back in time. At this time, the system prompt sounded in my mind again. Got another mission. Ran Qingshe was no longer unhappy, but full of expectations. When her consciousness sank into her mind and she saw the description of the mission, she was slightly stunned. Task Introduction. 10 days later, during the Lantern Festival, the 9th Prince Xian of Daqian will be assassinated by Qin Mo. Try every means to let Xian survive. Closing square bracket. Success reward. Innate Dao body. Failure penalty. None. Time limit. 10 days. Closing square bracket. Killer introduction. Qin Mo, alias Qin Cho, student of Supreme Profound Academy, remnant of crippled Heaven Valley. Closing square bracket. When she saw the last line of words, Ran Qingshe frowned. Qin Cho. If I remember correctly, this person entered the Supreme Profound Academy for a year and showed great talent as martial Dao. He looks like a simple and gentle young man who likes to wear black clothes. Strange, why am I so impressed by him? Ran Qingshe was suddenly startled. She is prone to emotions, but she is by no means a fool. When I thought about it for a moment, I found a lot of things that were wrong. For example, that Qin Chu appeared in her field of vision many times intentionally or unintentionally. There was an outing experience organized by Supreme Profound Academy. Inexplicably, he encountered a small beast tide that was rare to see in 100 years. And, Qin Cho, was like a divine weapon descending from the sky, killing several crazy beasts in front of her. What a serious scheming. However, Qingshe felt a slight chill in her heart. How could a person who was raised by those old monsters in crippled Heaven Valley be really honest and honest? His heart must be extremely dark and perverse. Of course she didn't dare to make a conclusion based on these speculations without evidence. But as the granddaughter of the general who governs the country, Ran Qingshe is very familiar with crippled Heaven Valley. Because this happened just 2 years ago, and even Grandpa was slightly injured in that battle. She heard her grandfather mention it by chance. There is an old monster in crippled Heaven Valley who is proficient in controlling beasts. He's here for revenge. Without further ado, I must tell Grandpa about this. Whether it is for the sake of Xian's safety or to eradicate the remnants of crippled Heaven Valley. It's all top priority. On the contrary, it was the system's task rewards that Ran Qingshe temporarily ignored. Ellipsis. Shanwangfu. It's already the 2nd day after getting the system. Xian lay lazily on the bamboo and rattan recliner. The music of the piano lingers in my ears. Admiring the graceful figure of the dancer. Open your mouth slightly from time to time. Then a slender jade finger handed the crystal clear spirit fruit to his mouth from the side. Ding! Listen to the fairy music, enjoy the wonderful dance, and taste the delicious food. You feel it is great to lie down, and you will be rewarded, all 9 orifices will be opened. Your lazy posture has taught you how to lie down, and you will get an extra reward, open the ancestral aperture between the eyebrows. Accompanied by 2 pleasant beeps. Xian's whole body felt bright, and the center of his eyebrows bulged slightly, as if some kind of shackles had been broken. After a little induction, he knew what the ancestral aperture between the eyebrows was. Normally, martial artists can only open up to 9 orifices. The ancestral aperture between the eyebrows is a hidden acupoint connected to the primordial spirit. In addition to being able to release mental shock, it also has a significant improvement in induction, and can predict the enemy's profit. There are other incredible powers yet to be discovered. Bo. In silence, Xian stood up with a heavy power. A series of cyclones quickly condensed in the dantian, turning into droplets of bright dewdrop-like liquid in the blink of an eye, accumulating into a lake. The spiritual energy turns into liquid and gathers to form a sea. Core Sea Realm. The realm that had troubled Xian for 2 or 3 years was finally broken through. Looking at the dancers and piano players who were trembling slightly due to the surge of his breath, Xian slowly calmed down and waved his hand to signal them to continue. As the music of the piano sounded again, the dancers' veils flew. Xian lay back on the chair, ate a moist spiritual fruit that was brought to her mouth, and sighed like a salted fish. This is life, Your Highness. A guard walked over quickly, but his movements were very gentle, and he whispered in his ear. Oh. After hearing this, Xian raised his eyebrows slightly, revealing a hint of surprise. Just now, the well-hidden protagonist, Qin Mo, actually revealed his identity. Chapter 5. Mount Tai collapses but remains unchanged. According to the original plot, the protagonist, Qin Mo, was not exposed until he assassinated the 9th prince. Because he has a very powerful disguise technique, not only his appearance has changed, but his temperament and mental fluctuations have also changed to that of another person. It is inherited from crippled Heaven Valley after all. The 10 old monsters inside all have unique skills. If it hadn't been for the great General Zhengguo coming in person, leading the most elite army, and setting up numerous battle formations, I'm afraid we still wouldn't have been able to defeat them. Recalling Ran Qingshui's completely different behavior yesterday, Xian smacked his lips. Something's wrong. This plot seems to be developing in a direction of collapse. Think for a moment. Xian laughed and shook his head. What does this have to do with him? It's all reached this point. That Qin Mo couldn't even protect himself, so he shouldn't come here to assassinate him, right? Needless to say, Xian now has Soul Calming Jade, which can protect the primordial spirit and resist any spiritual attack below the level of Dao Palace. Therefore, Qin Mo's killing move was no longer a concern for him. Let it be chaotic. The more chaotic it is, the less anyone will pay attention to me, a dandy prince who lies at home all day long, has no intention of fighting and is obsessed with having fun. It was noon, but the sun was not bright. Occasionally, there is a breeze blowing, with a hint of coolness. Xian squinted his eyes, looked at the sun as red as blood, and said to himself, in the middle of summer, the temperature is like late autumn. Could it be that this day is going to change? Ellipsis. What? Ran away. At the Zhengguo general's mansion, Ran Qingshui looked shocked after receiving the news. How can this be? That Qin Mo's cultivation level was clearly the same as hers. Even if the strength is hidden, it will never be much higher. At most, it will be in the early stage of Divine Bridge, once it reaches the 3rd layer. This is as overestimated as possible. After all, the top few on the Hidden Dragon list only have this level of cultivation. And to know, the Iron Guard sent to capture him was a general from the Dao Palace realm. Can this make Qin Mo run away? Well, he ran away. In front of Ran Qingshui, there sat a burly old man with gray hair. He was holding an ancient book in his hand and was reading it carefully with a gentle face. Even after learning about Qin Mo's escape, his expression did not change at all. Still as calm as ever. Grandpa, why don't you seem to be in a hurry? Ran Qingshui walked around the room uneasily. When she thought of the task reminder, she felt a little nervous and panicked. Qin Mo is still alive, so doesn't he still want to assassinate Xian? Honestly, Ran Qingshui's previous impression of Qin Mo was pretty good. But after knowing his identity, when I thought that he was approaching me just to gain trust and avenge those evil thieves, I immediately felt a strong sense of disgust. On the other hand, Xian, although his personality is a bit worse, and he always pestered himself in the past, it was only hateful, but not hateful. Shui, how can you inherit Grandpa's mantle in the future if you are so impatient? The old man smiled, very calm. As the saying goes, Mount Tai collapses in front but remains unchanged, elk rises to the left but cannot blink. What the ancients said deeply touches my heart. Unfortunately, the rumored Mount Tai has already collapsed in ancient times. It is hard to see it again. I deeply regret it. Hear the words. Ran Qingshui calmed down a little. When she thought about it carefully, She felt that her grandfather must be so calm that he must have something inside him. This is my thoughts. Ran Qingshe nodded slowly. Grandpa taught you a lesson. It's just that you personally led the troops to destroy the crippled Heaven Valley after all. Qinmo and my Ran family have a huge feud and have to guard against it. Moreover, he intends to assassinate the 9th prince. Sishuye is somewhat worried. What did you say? Ran Lai was stunned and interrupted her. I said, there is a huge feud between Qinmo and my Ran family, so we have to guard against. No, next sentence. And he intends to assassinate the 9th prince. Bang! Ran Lai stood up suddenly and overturned the table in front of him. His beard and hair were spread out, like an angry lion, and his big copper eyes stared at her. Assassinate the 9th prince. How do you know? Is it credible? Ah, I thought you had already investigated it. This credibility. Ran Qingshe raised her head and looked at her grandfather in confusion. What if Mount Tai collapsed and his appearance remained unchanged? Where did your indifferent image go? Never mind. Ran Lai waved his hand, his expression extremely solemn. Even if there is only 10% credibility, this matter must not be taken lightly. Come here. Exist. A figure appeared silently in the study. Pass my military order and immediately mobilize 800 secret guards to protect Prince Haoshan's mansion. Not even a single insect can fly in. Yes. The figure made a promise and slowly disappeared. Ran Lai walked back and forth in the room for a few steps, then suddenly turned to look at Ran Qingshe, half smiling but not smiling. Shuye, Grandpa heard that you went to return the gift to that boy Su Xian today. Ran Qingshe was stunned for a moment. The next moment, her fair face suddenly turned red, and she became angry with embarrassment, like a little tiger with explosive hair. Grandpa, you sent someone to follow me. Still tracking. Ran Lai rolled his eyes. You stood at the door of Prince Xian's mansion for nearly an hour. Anyone who is not blind can see it. But having said that, haven't you always hated that boy Su Xian? How come you suddenly? It's just a courtesy. Ran Qingshe blushed and walked out angrily. Also, don't let anyone follow me again, or I will tell Grandma. The 9th prince may not be a good match. A long sigh sounded from behind, as if talking to himself. Ran Qingshui's delicate body stiffened for a moment, but she quickly pretended not to hear and just curled her lips secretly. What a good match and a bad match. Her future partner must be an extremely talented and unparalleled genius. As for Su Xian, how can he look like a genius? Although I thought so in my heart. However, Qingshui's mind couldn't help but think of the Su Xian she saw yesterday. In fact, if he were serious and not so frivolous, he would still have a rather cold temperament. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audio Wave to stay updated with our latest stories and never miss out on a great listen.